Morning Baraka's Fiqh, your questions answered. Assalamu alaikum, Sayyid. Good to see you today.
Alaikum salam. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Always a pleasure. Here we are. At this time period, we have some interesting questions. Isn't that right, Zahra? We have a few
I'm
interesting
just
queries.
wondering where your energy is from. You must have had a good iftar, healthy, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah, always
High in sugar.
Blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fruit and yogurt, that's what I like to eat in the evening.
Good,
Really?
Good.
Indeed.
So do you have a proper meal at sahur?
I try to, my mum makes parathas and stuff. A bit heavy for me.
We
Fruit
can't
and
miss your
yogurt.
mum's
You've
barakah.
been
Exactly.
spoiled. You've been spoiled.
Well, welcome to this season.
Thank you for having me.
This
The
holy
Ramadan
month,
season.
Indeed, the blessed month.
inshallah. So we have questions from our viewers. And today's discussion is from a mother, a concerned mother from the UK. She says, Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum
I
salam.
have a child who is baligh and has Asperger's. He has difficulty concentrating at the best of times. Currently, he is preparing for his exams, which are very important. I was wondering, due to his disabilities, can we postpone his fast during the exam period? And can he make the fast up after the month?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let's tackle this issue first with the exam side, then with the mental condition. For the youth out there that want to actually, have got exams coming up and think that they may be excused from fasting this month because of exams, I'm afraid you're not, and you have to fulfill your duty, and the fast is obligatory upon them. So yes, exam time is not an excuse, and you cannot be excused from fasting. Now, moving on to the mental condition.
Because that's a specific neurological condition. Asperger's is a type of autism.
Indeed. Depending on the severity, and depending on, because the main thing is this: there are people who do have, mental conditions, whether it's ADHD or global delay or behavioral issues. If they can distinguish between right and wrong, then the ahkam laws apply. If they can't, then they are excused, and the ahkam laws don't apply to them because they can't make decisions based on a clear conscience, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Can we use that term like what they use when they're talking about people who, for example, have mental health problems or older people who have, for example, Alzheimer's? You say they lack capacity.
Indeed.
To make decisions on their own behalf because the mental problems are so severe.
Indeed.
Right.
Indeed. So they are excused, but someone has like ADHD, which is just being hyperactive, and it's like an attention disorder. They can still have the mental capacity and to function as a normal person. It's just that they just want more attention, or they just have so much energy in them. That doesn't qualify yourself to be excused from fasting.
What if a student is very, a lot of children right now are taking GCSEs, A-levels, and perhaps not at the peak of their sort of growth, and they perhaps on the weaker side of growth, and they get weak because of fasting, they get unwell, although we know that fasting has its spiritual benefits, physical benefits, but perhaps they need to have regular meals to keep their concentration. Would they be excused at any point?
Okay, if we're talking about concentration, then no.
Performance-based.
Performance-based, no, because we all know that during Ramadan our performance does dip, our concentration does dip because of the lack of vitamins and dehydration and so forth. But this is part of fasting. This is what it's about. It's to make you feel the hunger and thirst of those who go without, and those who cannot afford, or those who are in worse status than yourself.
Yeah.
So that's the whole purpose of Ramadan. It's just to feel that. Now, with the youth, if they are getting ill, then this is an excuse.
Right.
Because depending on the illness, some people, they need food. The blood sugar levels are so low that they collapse. Unconsciousness is one of the you could say one of the terms that
will prohibit you.
Sorry, let me say again. So if
losing consciousness.
If someone's eating, with lack of sugar and losing consciousness, So if we have an individual who, because of lack of food and nutrition in the body, collapses due to low sugar and goes unconscious, their fast is void. Losing unconsciousness.
Losing consciousness breaks fast.
It does. Losing consciousness breaks fast. According to the Grand Maraja, the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq Shirazi, it is void. You are allowed to eat and drink something to get your health back, but it's clear that the fast is taking its turn on you.
Yeah.
So in those situations, in those cases, yes, for the youth, for young people who maybe their body is not as developed to do such long fasts, if it does take a turn on their health, then there is an option for them to break their fast, eat a little, not to fill themselves up and carry like a normal day. No, just eat a little and just to carry on throughout the day. And you can make that fast up later on for the next Ramadan.
And then would you suggest perhaps the next day to take a break or something that they could monitor their
That
health?
depends on the doctor. You should. I would say go see your doctor and ask your doctor. I mean, if they say, oh, it was just a one-off, or do you know what, start introducing more sugar into your diet and more nutrition. When you are allowed to eat, then maybe it won't happen again.
So if they can get an iftar meal plan that could facilitate a better slow carbohydrate release or blood sugar release or something like this, that might still make the fast possible. So you're talking about being quite informed by medical decisions.
Yes.
Depending on how the rulings would then apply based on secular medical conditions.
Yes.
And I think this is where also meal planning, you talk about meal plans, that it's important to ensure that the children have the nutrients that they need and drink plenty of water at that time that we can, because I think your body will end up suffering, won't it?
Definitely.
As the long fasts are settling, and maybe we'll get a heat wave.
Indeed.
As we do in the UK. But
it's very important to keep hydrated. I think hydration
is the most important
key.
Yeah.
Especially with the long fast and the heat, we sweat at least 2-3 liters of water out of our body during the day. So we need to make sure
things
we're replenishing.
Things like watermelon, cucumbers. I mean, I don't know what else, Brother Bilal, you would
recommend.
Yeah. But you're right. Things like cucumbers are some of the best, because drinking water is good, but you also need to eat foods which are high in water content. Bolonji, what they call garden eggs, and cucumbers and things like that.
Yeah.
But melon's a superfood as well.
We were joking at the beginning, parathas and all these lovely samosas, but at the end we have such a critical time, a short time to eat, that the children need their sort of energy, and anybody actually working going through the day. So
a long day is a long day for everyone.
Yes,
indeed.
But as we're talking about health concerns, I know in the UK we've published through medical experts saying about not fasting if you've got certain chronic diseases like diabetes. You could be prone to certain infections like urine infections and things, and to monitor your health. But what about those people? And I know GP friends of mine, general practitioner friends of mine, that have said they have Muslims coming and saying, yes, but you know what, I want to fast because it's what I want. It's my obedience to Allah. That doesn't matter if I've got kidney disease. It doesn't matter if I've got diabetes. I'm going to fast. As fiqh, would you please explain?
Fiqh-wise, the person with the illness who knows that fasting will cause a detrimental effect,
they're fully aware of that,
worsen the condition.
Yeah.
Should opt out of fasting, because Islam is a religion of peace and ease. We're not here to medically make you worse. We're here to medically benefit you. Fasting will not benefit. You're talking to someone with a kidney issue. A very common issue is gastritis or stomach ulcers, where a long fast will cause it to worsen due to the acidity levels increasing and the ulcer getting worse.
Can we make another time of year when the days are much shorter, for example?
Will be a lot easier, but I'm sure someone who's got a stomach ulcer with a 19-hour fast, if those are fasting 19 hours up to 19 and a half hours, I'm sure a doctor would say to them, this will not help. It would actually worsen your condition. Yeah. You can't do this. Now, if that person insists that, no, I'm going to do it.
Because there will be some that feel that way.
God help them. But I'm not here to say that, oh, your fast will be accepted. I'm not here to say your fast won't be accepted. I'm here to tell you that from an ahkam point of view, your doctor has told you that this will worsen your condition, opt out.
You're supposed to adhere to the advice, the medical advice of the experts.
Yes. You are allowed to make up for that later on.
Because people will struggle. I mean, I've known a brother that has been ill in Ramadan because he had an operation, and, he was very upset as the month was approaching. And I said to him, what's the fuss? Because Islam is as you said, you know, it wishes us ease. So the doctors are saying you need certain injections, you need to take certain medication. It's not going to work out for you. Fasting's a bad idea. And he said, but who wants to fast alone? So the idea of having to make up people feel like they're missing out because they know Ramadan is a gift, and fasting with the believers is different from making up your fast.
You don't need to disassociate yourself and you know, remove yourself from the community. You can still enjoy in the festivities, we could say.
Yeah.
You can still go down to the mosque.
Still do the ibadah, the amal.
Exactly.
Yeah, the spirituality.
If you're not fasting, why not help serve the iftar? Why not sponsor the iftar? If you've got more energy, why not, you know, maybe there's some people who are finding the fast difficult. Why don't you ask them, is there anything I can do for you? I'm not fasting because of my medical condition, so I have energy. You know, maybe you need to pick up kids from school or something, or take them to
there's still a chance to reap some extra
exactly,
rewards.
Exactly.
But I think the critical point that people miss in that attitude, and I know, you know, if there's years that you can't fast, absolutely you feel like you're not maybe you're not blessed, that you're not getting the blessing that Allah has given on this month. But the critical point is that if Allah is saying it's against your health, if you are healthy, fast, and if you're not healthy, surely the reward is in the obedience to what Allah is saying. If He's saying to us, fast because you're healthy, that's the obedience and the reward we get.
Yeah, the fast dictates you. You don't dictate the fast, but the emotional connection with Ramadan.
But that's it. If you give your sort of your belief and trust in Allah, that He's saying my health isn't okay and I can't fast, then He will reward you equally to a person who's fasted, because the critical point is the obedience. So whether we're not fasting because we're using exams as an excuse or something else as an excuse, the point is it's Allah's command upon us, fast. So if we're not able to fast, it's not due to our, you know, choice. We're saying, I'm submitting to Allah's will. I'm not fasting because He has said.
No, indeed. The beliefs are those who say they hear and they obey, right?
Yeah.
They hear what Allah has commanded and they obey.
And I think if we change our thinking, we'd actually not feel as bad that we're missing the fast, because again, it's in obedience to Allah's command that we're not fasting. So and it is really.
Furthermore, I wanted to say that, you know, when we go traveling during Ramadan, you're not allowed to fast. And some people might say, oh, I'm just going to keep the fast while I travel. I can do it, I can let. You have to make that fast back.
What is the ruling?
What is the ruling? You have to make that one back.
Said, what is the ruling if you're traveling for a certain period of time? Does it change the dynamics? Like if I'm going to travel abroad for over 10 days, it's the same as when we have with Qasr prayer. Okay.
You have the 9-10 day gap depending on the marja. It's normally 10 days.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be in a place for less than 10 days, you don't fast. You have to make them up.
Yes.
Before the next Ramadan. If you're there for longer than 10 days, then you have to fast. But the day you travel, you don't fast on that day.
Yeah.
So the first, you know, so while you're traveling, you don't fast on that day. But when you arrive, then you'll start.
It doesn't matter if you leave after Zohar, the day you're traveling.
It does indeed, depending on the time. If you leave after,
time factor, yeah.
If you leave before Zohar, and you arrive at your destination before Zohar as well, then you have to continue your fast. But if you leave before Zohar and you arrive after Zohar, then you have to open your fast.
Wow.
If you leave after Dhuhr, then you have to continue your fast.
Can I quickly ask you, we don't have much time, literally under in a minute, but about people who deliberately fast and go on holidays?
Yes.
Quickly. Is that a good idea?
It is makruh to run away from fasting. It is makruh to run away from fasting. However, it is not haram. So in the summertime, for those of you who've got 30 days off work or something, Australia sounds pretty nice because it's their winter time. Go for 30 days and you can do your whole Ramadan over there and come back. But obviously, the days you're traveling, you'd have to make that up depending on what time you left.
As you mentioned.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
No worries.
Really interesting.
Yep.
Food for thought.
Mashallah.
Inshallah, another morning we'll see you. Thank you, Sayyid, and inshallah you have a blessed fast.
Inshallah, you too.
Inshallah, thank you. And that's all we have time for this morning. Enjoy the rest of your suhoor and may you have a blessed fast as well.